restart? Did
Yeah,
you
yeah,
want to
restart.
start? Okay.
Yeah, why do you
Yeah, the
support
reason
Trump?
why, yeah, yeah, to answer your question, why I would support Trump over Kamala Harris is I would be in favor of Trump's social issue. As it relates to like social issues are a big issue to me, especially so I prefer Trump's stances and or policies as it relates to social issues. So, for example, Trump's stance I would say is more pro-life than Kamala Harris. I'd find abortion to be a murder, therefore it counts in favor of me being pro-life, or sorry, voting for Trump.
So you like the tariffs? These universal tariffs?
No, no, but I can find it to be like an overriding factor. Economics aren't like a huge factor to me, if you want me to be honest.
Okay, interesting. So the huge factors to you are like abortion.
So
What else?
social issues,
What other social issues are like important to you?
yeah, like I'm not gonna get your live taken down, like the tea issue.
Okay. Like what specifically? Like, do you
Yeah,
just
like they
like not
shouldn't,
think
they
trans
shouldn't.
identity is valid?
No, like they shouldn't be in like trans women shouldn't be in women's bathrooms, or they shouldn't be playing in women's sports, so on.
Okay. Are any other social issues?
We can stick with abortion and tea issue for now.
Okay. Okay. So I have a question. Can you name one trans person who is dominating women's sports that was prevented from playing because of Trump's executive order?
Nope.
No. So, so was it just virtue signaling? He didn't do anything?
Nope. No, it's gonna be acquired about like fairness, right? So even if I can't name someone, doesn't really matter.
Was there anyone? Not just like whether could you
Was there
name
anyone?
someone, was there a single person?
Yeah, I really don't know. I don't think they need to be dominating for them to be banned from sports.
Well, wasn't the like notion about like unfairness and that like trans people are dominating sports or something? Otherwise, why would you even care about it? Like, why is it something to bring up in federal politics? Like, we're talking about President of the United States here. This isn't your local sports organization, sir. This is the national election for President of the United States of America, right?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, like, why would the question of sports be relevant to federal policy?
The sports to federal policy, well, I mean, I can agree with you that like it's like not the most important issue if you're like a president, right? It's not going to be like the top of the top priorities.
Okay.
But so like you could say like my priorities might be like a little weird, I guess, if you want to say for like what a president should do. And you might want to say it's like a side project, but I don't know. I find it to just be unfair, or I don't know, not on. I would say it's like unintuitional, or we can just put it like this: it'd be against my intuitions to have trans women in women's sports,
Even if it's fair?
even if it's fair. Yeah,
Okay, why? Do you have an issue with men?
yeah.
Do I have
So
like? Do you have an
it's
issue with in general men and women playing sports if it's fair?
with men playing in women's sports.
No, no, no. For men and women playing sports together.
They can, yeah, like co-ed. Yeah, they can play it together. Yeah.
So then, like, what's unintuitive about like people playing sports together so long as it's fair?
Yeah, it's going to be disanalogous. So when you mention something like co-ed, for example, where there's a team of half men and half women, okay, well that's going to be disanalogous to if you want to say something like uh, a trans woman playing in women's sports, because that's in my eyes is going to be one man playing with
I'm
every
asking like
other
what
woman.
makes it unintuitive to you, right? And also like why is that relevant to federal politics? I still don't think I got a clear answer on that.
Why it's relevant to federal politics?
Yeah, like at all.
You already got a clear answer. I already answered you there. What are you
What
talking
was the
about?
what was the answer?
Yeah, the answer is just gonna be that the answer is gonna be like I can concede that it's like not completely relevant. It's probably not the top of the president's priority list. Like I can agree with you that it's not like that relevant.
No, it didn't do anything. Literally did nothing. It was just virtue signaling. Like unless you
What was
can
virtue
point
signaling?
to an advantage from the implementation of this policy. I mean, I don't know what the point would be, but I mean, We can also point to the fact that if you want to prevent men from going into women's spaces, like especially such as like dressing rooms and bathrooms, you probably shouldn't vote for a candidate for president of the United States that bragged themselves about walking into the changing rooms of naked women while they're changing without their consent. Right, where two 18-year-olds came out, so there were four girls as young as 15 years old in these changing rooms when Donald Trump would barge in.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't
so
be
that'd
voting
just
for
be
that guy then, right?
that'd just be where I care about policy and their stances over character.
Policy. What policy has he passed?
I said policies and or stances over character.
So you care about his stance on preventing trans women from being in the women's restroom? Did you know that like in 2016, he actually was in support of trans women being in the women's restroom?
Okay.
Did you know that?
So what?
Why do you think his position on that changed?
I don't know. I'm not Donald Trump. Maybe he got peer pressured.
Peer
I don't know.
pressured. You think he got peer pressured by the right to believe it? So he doesn't actually believe it, but he just was peer pressured to hold the stance?
I really don't know, Parker. You can tell me why you think, but
Well, I mean, I
just
think
told
you
my
gave an
thoughts.
explanation that is really, really good. Like that's actually like probably the exact explanation I would provide too. Yeah, that's probably the exact explanation.
Okay, great. So what's the relevance to this?
Do you realize that then it wouldn't be reflective of his true stances? It would be reflective of his stance due to just peer pressure.
If he can get peer pressured into a stance that's in agreement with me, I really don't care.
Okay. Or even if he doesn't even hold that position, even if it has no even if it has no effect on policy.
Even if it has no effect on policy, well, I just disagree that someone's stance would have no effect on policy. I feel like it actually does.
Well, I'm not saying in any circumstance could someone's stance not have any effect on policy, but like I would ask, how does this stance have any effect on policy?
Effect on policy? Well, I mean, if someone's stance holds the stance that they're just gonna be against trans women being in like women's bathrooms, for example.
Yeah,
then,
like
obviously
what
they're
change
just
in policy
more-
has Trump implemented since he's gotten
then they're
office
just
about that?
then they're just more likely. Oh yeah, I'm gonna finish my sentence. Then they're just more likely to pass a bill banning X thing, right?
What bill
So,
has been
for example-
introduced? Has he advocated
so, for
for
example-
or tried to pass?
So, for example, I can. Well, I don't think you actually heard why. So I said I support Trump because he's more likely to than X with Kamala Harris on social issues. So it's not the fact that he has to try to pass something. It's just the fact that you have to prove that he's not more likely to. Okay.
You're the one that has to prove that he is more likely to by giving examples
So-
of things that specifically he has fought for, tried to pass, or advocated for relating to policies surrounding the restriction of this. If not, then you're just
I actually
Just
don't.
like hoping.
I just have to give you some form of non-trivial evidence that it would be likely to ban something if something was to land onto his desk. That's all I have to do.
okay. So you would say that like he'd be likely to ban this if something were to land on his desk, not that he's advocating for or pushing for, or that it's likely to even go onto his desk on the first place. Like there is
Yeah,
no
it's literally
introduced
all I have to
policy.
do.
There is no policy to do this.
From the words I said,
This is just
yeah,
like
that's all I have to
literally
do.
like what you're saying is like a stance that he's held due to peer pressure, and that stance that he's held to peer pressure is more important than all of the negatives about him. Because I could list a whole lot,
I'm sure you can list a lot of negatives, but yeah,
and I think that
would
you'd
say-
agree with me that they're negative.
Yeah, I know. I can probably agree with you on a lot that are negative. But I would say that number one, banning schmurder, and then the T issues would overrule those.
That he just left it up to the states, which doesn't ban it across the entire country. It also restricts access to abortion for rape victims in a bunch of different states around the U.S., depending on their state's abortion laws.
Yeah, I know he left it up to the states, but he's more likely to obviously federally ban it than Kamala Harris.
He's actually advocated against that. He said he'd be in support of a federal 15. Would you support a federal 15? Which is
I'm an
codifying
incremental-
pro-choice into law?
I'm an incrementalist, so whatever. If you can,
Whatever's going to
slowly
get closer
ban-
to it?
If we can slowly ban abortion till it's completely gone, yeah. Well, not
Interesting
completely,
question for
but
you.
Yeah.
Do you care more about restricting access to abortion or saving human life? Like innocent human life from being lost?
Yeah, that's just a confused question because I would say restricting abortion does save innocent human life. It's
No. I'm not claiming that's not the case. I'm just asking which would you care about more from like a policy standpoint when it comes down to the day, at the end of the day.
Yeah, abortion does save innocent human life. I don't know who you're talking about. So when you ask me, would you rather ban abortion or save innocent human life? Well, newsflash, banning abortion saves innocent human life.
Yeah, like if I were to give you evidence that say like the opposing side would save more innocent human lives as opposed to the restricting access to abortion, would you prefer to save more innocent human lives, or would you prefer to restrict more access to abortion? That was essentially the question. I'm sorry that you were so confused.
I'm sorry, you asked the question very poorly.
I didn't.
Uh, yeah, so that would
You just
depend.
answered it poorly.
So that would depend. So if the person who's more likely to federally ban abortion, and that gets signed into law for like a lot of years, like we can even say like 10 years, that's going to save, quite a few lives. So, I mean, even if he was more likely to unalive, innocent human life, as you would call it, outside the womb,
I'm not hearing a direct
this year.
response to the question. Did you misunderstand the question?
Nope, I'm answering it right now.
Really? Because do you remember what the question was?
Yeah,
What was it?
yeah. Would you rather ban abortion or save innocent human life? And if I could show you the other party was going to save more innocent human life, would you vote for him?
Yeah,
So
if
would
it
you
was
like
the
me to
case that
continue on with my answer?
yeah, because it wasn't a direct answer at all.
It wasn't. That's just giving me a
Yes.
tracking error. So, anyways, we
How
just move
why are
on.
you so like weird? Like
Is
just
I'm
answer the
weird.
question directly. You don't have to act so egotistical
I
around
am
things.
answering it. I am answering it. I'm telling you the criteria that would need to be met. Are you good?
You're failing to do so, and then you're trying to act like I'm like somehow like dumb or something
I
because of
would
the fact that
agree
I'm
I'd
saying
fail
that
to
you're
do
not
so
directly
because you've
answering the
interrupted
question.
me. Yes, I would agree.
Just hurry up.
So back to the criteria that would be needed to be met for me to, be swayed which way. Okay. So yeah, if Trump federally banned abortion for like a couple of years and that would save more innocent human life over the course of a lot of years, then Kamala would have saved. Then I vote Trump. But if that abortion ban would only get banned for like the rest of Trump's term, we saved 2.5 million babies, and that's like it. Then yeah, I'd probably vote for Kamala. I just told you the circumstances right there.
So if you net save more innocent human lives on behalf of the Democratic side, right, as opposed to the Republican side where you restrict more access to abortion, you're saying you prefer the Democratic side?
Yeah, probably.
Probably. Okay. So if I could prove to you that through the cuts of USAID that 14 million people will die by 2030, according to a Lancet study, would that be enough evidence for you to reconsider, given that since the overturning of Roe versus Wade, we've seen an increase in the amount of abortions that have occurred?
Well, the Roe v. Wade stuff, I'm skeptical of, by the way. So I agree it's increased, but I'm skeptical of the reasons. So,
But like, there's
but
no evidence that it's declined, is my point.
yeah, no, it hasn't declined. Like I agree, it's increased, but I'm skeptical of the reasons of why it's increased.
Okay, I mean that's totally
Let's,
fine to be skeptical.
but
I would say I am too. I'm not quite sure on what they are as well, but like that doesn't mean the fact that the overturning of Roe versus Wade is then going to be causing reductions in abortion. We have no evidence for that. So if we have no evidence for that, you have nothing to assign to the overturning of Roe versus Wade
yeah,
to indicate a reduction in the level of abortion or a reduction in the level of loss of human life, right? Given that you support Republicans. So voting for Republicans as opposed to Democrats makes no sense in this context if what you
well,
care about most is saving innocent human lives over restricting access to abortion.
would you agree? Would you agree that like the intention of Roe v. Wade was to, reduce the amount of abortions?
You could say that people's intention was to reduce the amount of abortions, regardless of whether or not what the intention of the policy doesn't change the reflection in terms of outcome. What you're talking about in terms of what you're going to vote for is the outcomes, right? You might consider intentions, but obviously you're going to vote for outcomes if we're talking about like you caring more and about, again, saving innocent human life than restricting access to abortion. Because restricting access to abortion includes that intent to do so, right? But if you're talking about saving more innocent human lives, because that's the goal of the policies relating to the restriction of abortion, or then I would say then if you care more about that, it makes more sense to vote for Democrats. So the very basis for why you would even want to make abortion illegal in the first place would actually see Democrats to be a preferable option in this election
Yeah,
cycle and in the coming
yeah.
ones,
Well,
given that there's a difference in USAID funding.
to what you said before about how we vote based on outcomes and only like, consider intentions. I don't know why I would see that to be the case because as it relates to like Roe v. Wade, right? The intentions part, if their intention of overturning Roe v. Wade was to reduce the amount of abortions, then they presumably with the intentions and it didn't happen, then they intend to find a way to reduce abortions in some other way.
Wait, so like obviously, I think that both sides are going to intend to save innocent human life, right? Like unless you're going to have like some extreme view, right? Like a Trump supporter specifically who believes that it's justified for Trump to call for the execution of some Democrats because they said to follow the law to not follow unlawful orders, like things like that. Like that would be where you'd see like the extremes of where people wouldn't have those views. But typically, you would think that both sides want to save innocent human lives, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then, like, if you're operating under that idea, then what's unique about applying that to the pro-life movement? Because that would also apply to every other movement because it's not unique to the pro-life movement. So the intent doesn't really matter in of itself if everyone else is going to have a similar type of intent there. What's going to matter is going to be the outcome, right? Most.
You can apply that.
That's what you were arguing first. Your argument was policy, not character. Okay? If you care more about intent, then you care more about character, right? Which is reasonable to care about.
I care
I'm
about
saying you should
intent.
consider. But what you were saying is that you value policy outcomes. So if we're talking about you valuing policy outcomes, of course what's
I value
relevant to this
both.
argument is the outcomes.
Well, I value both. I can value intent and outcomes.
Okay? So then, so are you saying do you care more about intent or outcome?
I mean, honestly, I'd say it's like I care about both equally, honestly.
Yeah, but given that you have to pick one or the other, do you care more about intent or outcome? It might be a
I just
little
told you I care
complicated.
about both
You can just say
equally.
you're indifferent if you'd
Like
like, but
yeah, I am indifferent. I told you it's 50-50.
okay. Okay, so then you care about character, right? Do you think Trump's
Uh,
character is worse than Harris's?
you could say I care about a
Whose intention do
very
you think is better, Trump or Harris?
you could say I find to care about character in the littlest bit if you want to count intent as character.
Wait, no, I mean, obviously, character would be based in how you have intentions, right? Like, intentions are predicated off of your character. Okay, so like,
Yeah,
can I,
just
can,
because something is predicated off of another thing doesn't mean it is that thing.
I never claimed that.
You did. You said intentions are predicated off of character, making it character. Well,
Oh, it
you
means
didn't.
means that the consideration of intent then would also include character. Is kind of what I was just meaning to say. I'm sorry that
Yeah,
you misunderstood there.
it's fine. Glad you can rephrase. Since you like to say sentences poorly.
I
Um,
don't think I did. I just clarified if you
Would you
needed
get back
that
to the
extra
point?
clarification on top.
Would you like to get back to the point?
Yeah, so like who do you think's intention is better, Harris or Trump?
It would depend to relate to like what topic.
Like overall, like net.
Well, to the things I care about, like Trump, but to the things you care about,
No,
Harris,
no,
right?
intention. You know what intention is, right? It's with respect to their own preferences. So
That's
why
why
would
I
you
said
index it to
intent.
your preferences? That's incoherent.
Well, oh my God, thought you were saying that how we perceive their
What is
intentions.
intent?
But anyways, something you mean to do.
Yeah, so like it's going to be with respect or indexed to their own preferences. Okay, so can you respond? If you're going to value their intent in this context, whose intent is preferable, Harris or Trump?
Oh, well, in this context, Trump's intent would be preferable. Over in the abortion in context, yeah,
No, no,
Trump's
no,
is
we're talking
more.
about net overall.
Oh my God, net. Okay, so now we're changing it from this context, abortion, to
I've
net
said multiple
overall.
times overall. I'm
So
sorry that you've
yeah,
had this huge blunder here.
overall, if you want to say like, immigration, foreign policy, so on,
Everything, yeah, like Trump being
maybe,
a racist, like, held civilly
maybe,
liable, sex abusing a woman, like brag about walking into the changing rooms of naked women while they're changing without consent, saying you dated 10-year-old girl in 10 years, or sex his daughter on countless occasions. Yeah, all of
maybe
those
Kamala,
things, considering all facts.
maybe Kamala if we're counting everything equally.
Okay, okay. So if you care about intention as the sole factor in this argument, from a net basis, from an overall basis, well, then it seems like you would prefer Harris. So, like, it seems like you have to look at outcomes. So, given that you now have to look at outcomes, and you can't just look at intention because it would mean that Kamala Harris would be perceived in a more positive light from an overall standpoint. Well, then obviously it's going to be the case that you have to provide a basis to say, in terms of the outcomes, that it would be preferable in terms of the saving of innocent human lives on behalf of, again, Donald Trump, as opposed to Kamala Harris, which you can't clarify because the overturning of Roe versus Wade has led to an increase in the amount of abortions rather than a decrease. You have no evidence that there's even going to be a decrease. Okay, but we do have evidence that the cuts to USAID will lead to the loss of millions of innocent human lives by 2030, according to a Lancet study. How do you respond to that if you care about the saving of innocent human lives?
Yeah, I respond to it, but that was fucking embarrassing. So when I say
Ad
something
hominem.
like Kamala, yeah, that's also a blunder. That's funny.
You didn't
Can't
provide an
define what
argument.
that-
You just insulted. No
define-
argument yet.
Yeah, I insulted and then was providing the argument.
Go ahead, try.
Right? I can do both.
Typically,
if you
you're supposed to provide the argument and then do so.
Sorry, I'll insult you during my argument.
Go for it
So,
if you'd like.
As it relates to
If that makes
me
you feel
caring
better about yourself.
Yeah, sure. As it relates to Kamala and me saying that she's probably better net overall in intentions, I said she's better net overall in intentions if you consider everything equally, dipshit. Okay? Now, luckily, as I've stated before earlier in the conversation, I don't value everything equally, okay? I don't take economics and foreign policy and immigration in social issues all into account equally, okay? There's overriding considerations. I've said this a million times, Parker. It's not that hard. Okay? So I could value social issues way more than I value economics, foreign policy, and so on. And Kamala could still be better net overall if you value them equally, which is what I said. Which is why I can still hold my position for Trump being better as it relates to social issues and say that Kamala is better net overall if you value everything else equally. Holy shit.
So I asked the question indexed to your own preferences, and you answer the question indexed to a different set of preferences? Is that what you
You
just
didn't
said?
ask index to my preferences.
I clearly did. Didn't I ask you the question?
You actually didn't.
I didn't ask some other entity the question. I asked you directly the question. I wasn't asking you in accordance with some other preference. I was asking you directly.
You wanted me to respond
And
to
then
your
you just like
statement.
answer index to some other set of preferences that I didn't even bring up.
What preference? Wait,
You said considering everything equally. I don't even know what the fuck that's supposed to mean in this context.
you don't know what
I just said
considering everything equally is meant?
overall. I just said overall.
Yeah, you
from a
said-
net basis.
yeah, you said-
you think
yeah,
that,
you said
you think that
overall.
her intention is preferable to his, right? And you said you did so only on a basis of considering everything equally, which you don't consider everything equally.
Which is
I was
what I
asking
said
you the
during the
question, so it was
response.
indexed to your own preferences.
So now I have to backtrack because you got a tracking error.
How is this on me having a tracking error? This is you just being incredibly dishonest.
Because you couldn't
and you have
track
to
my
act like
original
you're
response.
so. Yeah, why do you have to act like this when you were wrong? It's really embarrassing.
wrong?
Yeah, it is.
That's question begging.
No, it's not. I just proved you wrong.
It's not question begging.
No, because I just proved you wrong.
Yeah. Sure. Where was I proven wrong?
I just did.
On what
Do
statement?
you have a
On
tracking error?
On what statement?
Do you have a
On
tracking
what
error? I
statement?
just explained.
On
Did
what
you
statement was
listen?
I-
What was the last
on
thing
what
I just
statement
said?
was I proven wrong?
What did I just say?
You said, what did I just say?
No, don't be dishonest. I meant what did I say prior to that?
You said that I was wrong.
I mean my argument, right?
Oh, yeah. You wanted me to respond to how the fuck I could support Trump and I should be supporting Kamala if I find that Kamala is more net.
No, I
Yeah?
asked you a question indexed to your preferences, and you didn't answer indexed
What
to your
was the
preferences. You
question?
answered indexed to considering everything equally. Wow, you're completely blundering
Yeah,
here.
what was
You
the
don't even know
question?
what you're talking about.
What was the question?
Did you hear anything I just said, sir?
Yeah, you told me that I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I
So
literally
I
just
told
said,
you, if that's not the question, then I must have not heard it. So I need you to repeat it.
Yeah, so we were talking about intention. Whose intention is preferable, Harris or Trump? Overall.
Yeah, and according with
And I'm
my
asking you
preferences,
index to your own
it would
preferences.
be, index to my preferences, it would be Trump.
Of course, now he's going to change the answer, even though the same question was already asked prior. Yeah, he answered differently, but somehow he's just going to bring up some random set of
Because it
preferences
was
that no one
indexed
ever
to
brought
another
up.
person's
So okay, so you think that
preferences? Are
Trump
you
has
okay?
better intentions indexed to your preferences?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you think Trump has better intentions, index to your preferences, net overall, you're considering him being held civilly liable of sexually abusing a woman, him sexing his kids, or like Ivanka, him sexing a 10-year-old girl, saying he'd be dating her in 10 years, him being held civilly liable of sexually abusing a woman, him bragging about, or him specifically pardoning violent rioters who beat police officers, calling them patriots. All of those things you're considering. None of those are going to be overriding considerations.
Considering we're talking about policy, by the way, these are all intuition pumps and red herrings.
No, but those are all negative intentions. They're not red herrings because they're relevant to the overall analysis of Trump's negative intention versus positive intention, indexed to your own preferences. Because we're talking about things that you disagree with, right?
Yep. They're just going to be overriding.
If it is overriding, then you would agree that Harris would have preferable intentions according or an index to your own preferences, right?
What do you mean? I said that him doing all that stuff is overridden by social stances and policies.
Oh, okay. No, so you're claiming that you care less about all of those things that I just mentioned of him being like a violent sex offender than you care specifically about how he views
I told you I care about
abortion
policy
and
stances
trans
over
sports.
character.
What's up?
Do you not remember when I told you that I care more about stances and policies than character?
Well, isn't character predicated off of where you get your intentions from? If you think that Trump has a worse character,
to where you get your intentions,
But
your
do you
character can lead towards what you intend to do. Yeah.
Wouldn't you say that's like a necessary foundation, right?
It's a necessary foundation. Sorry, character is the necessary foundation for intent.
Yeah, I would say character is a necessary foundation for intent, right?
Do you have an argument?
Yeah, well, character is going to be the basis for how you view things, right? For how you act in typical, right?
That's
for the type of way that
tautological.
you view the world. Okay, so clearly that's going to have a consideration in terms of the way that. What? I'm confused. You would dispute that? You would dispute that character is going to mold intentions?
Well, I can agree.
What is an intent?
That I already told you what intent meant earlier.
Okay, well,
What
I'm just
someone
asking you
means
to
to do.
clarify that again. Is it too hard for you to do? I don't know why you got so
What
emotional
someone
there.
means
Just
to
me
do.
asking a simple clarification question.
Yes, for the third time, what someone means to do. And so when you say something like it's the basis of what's, someone's character, and when you say the basis, presumably you're talking about the foundation. So that's going to be tautological and question begging on why intent is part of someone's character. So do you want to give
Can you
another
tell me
argument?
what a character
Because you
is?
said something that's tautological
Can you tell me what a character is?
in the same way you're using it. We're operating under your semantics, Parker.
Wait, okay. How do you know the way I'm using it?
Yeah, presumably you're just going to be using it in the standard way.
Okay, what's the
We're
standard
operating
way?
under your semantics.
You said I'm using it in the standard. So what is the standard way?
Parker, stop dodging.
I'm just trying to see how you're understanding this.
I have a burden of rejoinder and not a burden of proof.
I can
You're
see
not
that we
done.
have a disagreement here, so I'm just trying to clarify how
Yeah,
you
we do
get
have
to
a
the point that
disagreement, which is
character
why you
isn't
need to give the
necessary
argument.
in involving an intent.
We
Because I
do
think
have a disagreement, which is why you need to give the argument, which is why
Of
I'm
course,
internally
you have
critiquing
to-
you right now.
I just want to. I
Which
just want
is,
to.
you know what internal
This
critique
this
is, right?
I understand.
Do you
This
know
is
what
an
internal
incredibly
critique is?
important point for clarification? What you
Do
consider
you know what
character
internal
to be?
critique is?
I understand. Can you tell me what you think character to be? Because if you can't tell me, because it's going to be very, very hard to clarify this disagreement.
Okay, so you know what an internal critique is. So
Yes, I
you
do,
should
and
know that if I'm internally critiquing you, I'm operating under your semantics. So you asking me what my semantics are completely fucking irrelevant. So you need to tell me. I'm not
No,
even going to ask you the
I'm
question for
trying
what
to go off
character is.
of the
I just
way
want
that
you to
you're
give the argument.
analyzing everything. What you consider it to be is relevant to the way that you're using it in this context. Okay, because you're claiming from your own perspective that you think that character is not necessary in determining intent. If you're going based on my perspective, well, then character is the necessary component, right, of intention.
All right. So it is a necessary component. So
Yes.
maybe it can be an equivocation on character. So what is meant by character?
What is meant by character? Okay, now you're shifting the burden to me of the question I just asked you. So would
I
you
can't
like
shift
to
a
answer the
burden, I
question
never-
that I've already asked you?
I can't shift a burden I never had, Parker.
I asked you the
I
question.
had a burden.
I asked
Do you
you
know
the
what a
question
burden of
first.
rejoinder is? Yes or no?
Sir, can you just answer the question?
You don't. You don't know
Well,
what a burden of rejoinder is.
I
Okay,
don't.
cool.
Can you answer the question?
So you don't. Okay. So I only have
Can
a
you just
burden
answer
to
the
respond
question?
to you. I don't have a burden of proof.
Can
where
you just
I have
answer
to
the
prove
question,
to you
sir?
something.
Can I just asked you a very specific
if you
question for
admit that wasn't
clarification.
a burden shift, if you admit that wasn't a burden
Can you
shift,
please
sure.
just answer the question?
If you admit it wasn't a burden
Can you?
shift and you
I'm
blundered,
not
sure.
going to admit something I don't
Just admit
believe.
you blundered.
I don't believe that. I'm not going to admit
don't
something I
believe
don't
that.
believe. Can you please just answer the
Okay,
question?
so we'll just prove it to you right now then. So
Can
then
you just answer the question? Why are you being so emotional and not answering the question?
No one's emotional. You're the
You're
one raising
clearly
your voice.
emotional
I'm
here
laughing
because you
at
don't want to answer a direct question.
I'm laughing at you personally.
What? Okay, that's fine.
But
what do you take character to be?
so anyways, that's not my burden. You know I have a burden of rejoinder.
Can you please answer the question?
So
what
anyways,
do you take character to be?
not my burden.
Can you please just? I asked
If
you
you
the
read up on
question.
argumentation
You don't
theory,
have
Parker?
burdens based upon questions I ask you. Is that your? Is
No,
that
I
your, wait.
No,
You
I
don't-
have burdens
So
on
do you
questions
have
you
burdens?
ask me.
Wait, do you have burdens ever based upon questions I ask you?
Yeah, the burden of rejoinder.
Do you? Okay, so do you answer the question? Yes or no?
Yeah, the burden of rejoinder. That's the burden.
Don't just say that. Be specific.
So yeah, sure. The burden of rejoinder is the burden where I have to answer your questions to help you make your point.
No, this is not about me making my point. It's about me understanding.
It is because you need to give an argument.
No,
for
it's
why
about me
intent is
understanding
part of
where you're
character.
coming from. Okay.
Yeah. Oh my God, no way. So you don't need to ask a clarifying question on what's meant by something if I'm operating under your semantics. Does that make sense?
I understand that you think that that's what's happening here, but that's not what you're doing. Because if you're operating based upon my understanding, then you would have to concede that it's a necessary component of one's intentions. Okay?
Great, I'm operating under your semantics. So under your semantics, how is it a necessary condition how is it necessary to consider intent as a character trait?
Okay, so he's just gonna. I'll just answer it because he can't answer the direct question himself.
It's not
and that
my
we're
burden,
never
dude.
going to get a direct answer to that. Okay, so typically when I'm referring to character, I'm referring to like the psychological, right, and moral qualities, right, that are distinctive to a particular subjective individual. That's what I'm specifically referencing. Okay.
So a psychological
And I think that
trait.
those particular qualities are necessary within intent to be able to then be qualified from an overall standpoint, okay? From an ideological standpoint.
So is someone being like tired or constantly sleepy part of someone's character?
Is someone being constantly sleepy a part? Is it a mental and moral quality distinctive to an individual?
That's under how you're understanding
Is that a psychological and moral quality distinctive to an individual? I don't think so.
You don't think it's like some sort
I
of
don't
psychological-
think that would be negatively impactful on
You don't think
someone's
so?
character within this sense. No.
I never asked if it was negatively impactful. Just asked if it was some sort of
Oh,
psychological
could it be a
trait.
quality of someone's character? If you're just saying that like certain things they typically do are assigned to their character, if that's what your understanding is, yeah.
Okay. So part of someone's character could be extremely sleepy.
Depending on the different sense of character that you have, yeah.
I'm operating under yours, Parker.
Yeah, based upon this sense of character, it's not relevant to it because we're referencing the moral qualities.
Well, no, it's going to be relevant to your definition, how you understand character. And if
Sure.
you can't understand
Can I explain to you
character, then
something?
you can't understand if intent is predicated off of character
Can
or
I
if
explain
it
to
is
you
part of
something?
character.
We
Yeah,
have
sure.
for specific terms, we have multiple different definitions that we use different depending on the context. Like the term character specifically, it could be reference to a specific letter or symbol in an alphabet. It could be in reference to a particular individual in a like a novel or like a book, right? It could be something that has multiple different definitions. There's not just like
know,
one
I agree.
univocal definition of character. Okay, so when you try to like critique my definition by saying it's not univocal, right? Well, when I didn't even ever specify that it was univocal, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Never said it was unity. I never said that.
But you were criticizing it as if it was.
No. Oh my God. I'm using character under the same context that you are using your definition of character and seeing if something absurd applies. To see,
I just told you it wasn't relevant to that sense.
And if it is the case that it's absurd and it applies, then you don't.
Do you see how he's done all of this yapping, all of this around it. I've had to clarify so much, but he has yet to answer the question. What do you take character to be?
Parker, you're grandstanding.
I'm not. I gave you multiple different
bad.
understandings.
Yeah, you just interrupted me to go to the audience and beg. So,
anyways, you just didn't answer any questions.
Anyways, by the way, that character question, still not my burden. FYI. Uh,
He doesn't have to
but
clarify anything in the conversation, but I have to clarify everything.
not under not under an internal critique. No.
This isn't just.
But
I'm trying to understand the way that you're understanding the conversation. We're having a back and forth dialogue.
yeah, the way I'm understanding the conversation
This
right
this
now
conversation
is you're actively.
is not just an internal criticism of my perspective. Do you agree?
I agree.
Okay, so then if you agree with that,
But
then
this
you can't
part
then you
is
can't then you can't not engage with this just simply because it's not that. Because this conversation doesn't just include an internal criticism of my view. Okay? So I have to be able
yeah,
to
but
understand
this
how
part.
you're understanding or cashing out character. Because if I can't understand that, and yet my understanding of character in the sense that I'm using it here specifically relies upon is the basis for intention, sorry, then obviously it's going to be relevant to my understanding and my argument here. If you can't give me a response based on the way that you're understanding it, then it seems like you're just having a huge blunder here. Because you're not even responding to my notion of character, and you're not even providing a secondary notion of character.
Yeah, I'm about to respond to your understanding and character. You just kept interrupting me. I agree, by the way. This whole conversation is not an internal critique on your view, but this part of the conversation is, which means that for now, it's not my burden. Okay, so just calm down.
Let me know when I
my
can get an
burden
answer to
eventually.
that question.
Yeah, the when you can is going to be when this internal critique is done.
Yeah, let me know. Let's see how long it takes. Let's put a timer on. Go
Just
ahead.
depends how in depth it goes, Parker.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so just restate your definition of character. It's going to be
Yeah, I told you the psychological and moral
traits, right?
qualities distinctive to an individual.
Distinctive to, why does that have to be distinctive to an individual?
I'm sorry, this is just the definition I'm using. Why are you asking why the definition is that certain way?
Yeah, well, obviously, there's a reason why you have that definition, so I'm asking for the reasons of why you have this definition. Why does
Because I
a
think that when
characteristic,
referencing like moral character, it's going to be unique to an individual.
it's gonna be unique to an, yeah, so presumably there's gonna be something
Yeah,
here,
we're referencing like a specific individual. That's an individual analysis. Like,
yeah, why?
yeah, why is he
down.
just the fact that he asked that question kind of proves to me he's just trying to disagree with
I
me
do.
here. Like it's really funny.
I do.
Yeah, like
Okay, so
of course it's going to be distinctive to an individual if we're referencing character in a moral sense.
yeah, well, the problem here is when you say it has to be, in order for something to be part of someone's character, it has to be distinctive. You would have to say that like it's not part of someone's character to say that like they think Schmurder's wrong because it's not distinctive. Everyone agrees with that.
No,
Newsflash, it's
sorry, you're misunderstanding how it's being distinctive. It's individualized to this person.
yeah.
It's
That
not saying that
character
this
trait,
person is the only one with this quality. It's just saying this person does maintain this quality.
okay, so that's gonna be different than distinctive.
Wait,
Okay,
I'm sorry. Wait.
go down.
Why are you superimposing your own understanding of distinctive here?
Imposing my own understanding of distinctive.
Yes. Why are you
Alright,
why are you acting like distinctive has a univocal
Well,
sense?
for now,
I was
I'm
clarifying my
operating-
sense of distinctive here, and he's like,
Oh,
no,
sorry, what's the sense?
I don't use distinctive
Sorry,
in that
what's the
way.
sense?
Therefore, you can't. That's not how words work.
I never said I don't use it in that way. What?
That's
Are
essentially what you were
okay?
arguing. Would you like to
When
please
did I
engage
just
with
say
that?
I don't use distinctive in
You
that
said
way?
I can't.
When did I
am
say
I not
that?
allowed to use distinctive in the way that I just used it?
When did I? Well, technically, you'd be allowed, and I could ask you how you're
Okay.
using distinctive, and
Yeah,
then we
and
can go
I
down
told
there
you.
that route.
And I already told you, and then
Yeah,
you just responded with
repeat
that.
it. Just repeat it. Do you want to repeat it?
Repeat what?
Yeah, your understanding of distinctive.
Yeah, I was just saying it's a quality applicable to the individual.
Distinctive is a quality applicable to an individual,
Yes.
and only an individual. Like it's only applicable to one person.
No. But in the individual analysis, it's in reference to this specific person. Not saying that this trait can only be applied to this one person in all senses, but specifically just that in this sense, it's applicable to this person.
Okay, so a character trait that's applicable to that person.
Yes.
Okay, so that's how you're using distinctive. And character traits. You seem pretty frustrated, Parker.
Because I have to clarify so much just to be able to get an answer to a question. So just keep going. I'm genuinely curious to see how good this internal critique is going to be.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so we can go back to the example of someone. We can even say like someone like we can even say like why would someone being like a slow walker not be a part of someone's character under your view?
What, dude? It depends on what sense of character you're using. If you're using a moral sense of character, I
Your
wouldn't say
character.
that has a. I'm not. I don't think that has a moral quality to it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Honestly, that one's on me. That one's on me. Because I am honest, so that one's on me. My bad.
You've asked that question now
Yeah.
twice,
So
and I've
I
answered the same
asked
way.
why is walking twice?
No, you asked a different quality specifically that was like related to like similarly to like just like walking or something like that, right?
Well,
It's not a quality that
I
has a
would say
moral basis.
sleepiness. I don't think sleepiness. I think sleepiness is part of the psychological stuff, um, right? You don't think being sleepy is like part of like a psychological trait?
Okay, but it's not a moral quality.
Yeah, I don't have to attack just moral qualities,
You
Parker.
do
I'm
because it's
attacking the
mental
whole.
and moral.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
it's mental and moral, which means I can
Blunder,
attack either
dude.
or.
Blunder, blunder.
Yes.
It's not a disjunction, it's a conjunction.
How is it a blunder?
Blunder. Category error. Can you
How is it a
please
blunder?
can you please just give me this internal criticism
How is that
waiting?
a blunder?
I just told you because it was an and, not an or. Oh my God, what a
Oh my God.
blunder. What a blunder, dude.
So what you're
Can you
saying is
please
just
just give me
so
a
what you're
criticism, internal
saying.
criticism of the view?
So what you're saying is it's just going to be what you're saying is redundant.
Come on, I'm just waiting. What's the internal criticism?
So what you're saying is redundant, right?
How is it redundant? If it's a conjunction, how is that redundant?
Yeah, so when you say something like character is going to be someone's psychological and moral, uh, preferences distinctive of another, yeah, something similar to that was your definition.
If you want to simplify the definition in your own head by just saying moral qualities distinctive to an individual,
That's why it would be redundant because moral
if you
qualities are dependent upon psychological traits.
okay, yeah, if that's your view
So
in
it is
terms of meta
redundant.
ethics, yeah.
What do you mean in terms of metaethics?
Yeah, that's going to go down to your meta ethical view. If you think that the
Something being redundant.
if you think the moral qualities are dependent upon mental states or independent of mental states, that's the question there. But that's a
Well,
whole separate argument we don't have to go into. That's
you sure you
I
don't
don't
want to talk
like
about
the fact that I have to
subjective
clarify
morality?
all. None of this is relevant towards the internal criticism you were supposed to provide.
Well, first off, that's not going to be dependent upon your metaethical view in the way that I was using it, right?
Okay.
First off. Second off, so that's why it was redundant and it's not a blunder. So you just want to take that back real quick? You can
No,
do it if you want.
no, that's
No, you don't
ridiculous.
want to take back. You don't
No,
want to take back
because
your
that made
response.
what you just
Go.
said made no sense. But can you please just provide the
What I
internal
said makes no
criticism
sense.
of the
What did
view?
I say that? What
I
did I
am
say that makes no
waiting.
sense?
How many minutes does it take for you to provide the internal criticism of the view?
This is actively the internal criticism. What did I
This
say
is
that
the
makes no sense?
wait. The you just questioning my character definition is the internal so you're just providing an internal criticism of my view of character.
Of intent. No. So the internal critique is based on how, okay, how character is the foundation for intent.
Okay, and what's the criticism of that?
Yeah, we're investigating your understanding of character right now.
Okay, and what was incorrect about the understanding of character related to the idea that character is a necessary component of intention in this context? Moral character is a necessary component of intention?
Yeah, we're just making sure that we can agree under a definition of character. Because if we don't agree upon character, then there's no point in this argument. But
Okay.
honestly, I'm fine. Maybe am I fine with it? Yeah. So it's just if you want to reduce it down to someone's, it's just gonna be character is just gonna be someone's moral traits. That's fine. That's fine. Honestly, you can give the argument then. You can give the argument. You want to give the argument?
What? I thought you were providing an internal criticism of the argument.
Yeah, so I was providing internal criticism of the claim and then investigating the definition of the claim. Now you need the argument for why character, under how we understand it.
That the moral qualities distinctive to an individual are a necessary component of the way that someone intends to do things. Because when you say that intends is predicated off of what someone means to do, what someone means to do is predicated off of their moral qualities. That's a necessary component of what they mean to do.
Mm, yeah, I could, I just don't know. I could say something like, and what they intend to do. Don't you, I don't know. There's something interesting about like instincts. Um, I don't know. I was thinking about like animals and instincts. Would you say that like instincts is something that like someone means to do?
An instinct is something, I guess you could say not.
Not so someone's instincts isn't a part of the character.
I guess it can be depending on the context, but I would say typically like an instinct, or you wouldn't just say as something that someone would necessarily mean to do, because a mean would be like a intention, right? And an instinct isn't necessarily predicated off of intent, right?
Yeah, so like would you have to say that like animals have no character since they operate under instincts?
If we're just talking about moral character, if and yeah, depending on the animal you're referencing.
So you don't think that like dogs understand that you probably shouldn't.
Do I think dogs have moral agency and can have a moral character?
No, no, no.
Is that
No, no,
really
no.
the question you're asking?
No,
This
no,
is
no.
the
Never
internal
said
criticism of my view?
never said anything about
Why
that.
are you
Calm
taking
down.
so long?
Calm
Like,
down. There's no
seriously,
nothing I said
I'm
there.
asking a question because, like, how long of my life do I have to dedicate to this until you can just answer any of my questions?
I've answered plenty of your questions. What are you
No, you
talking about?
haven't, because I've been
You
this
an-
whole
you
time
asked
that
me
I've been letting
questions
you
for
do this
20
internal
minutes.
criticism is like you waiting because you wanted to finish the internal criticism before you'll answer any of my questions.
I answered a ton of your questions when I first joined your live. I don't know what
You
you're
have
talking
not
about.
answered this question, and you wouldn't answer this question until you finish the internal criticism. And I said, how long is the internal criticism going to take? It's now been like 15 minutes of an internal criticism.
It has. It's not that long for an argument, Parker. 15 minutes is not that long.
But like on this one specific point,
For an argument?
just to be
Parker,
able to clarify that character is a necessary component of intent? Like moral character?
Parker, yeah. Do you think 15 minutes is that long for an argument?
For clarifying that moral character is a necessary component of intent, yes.
Okay, well, if you want to think that, that's fine.
It
Yeah,
absolutely
so,
is. What are you talking about?
I don't know. Maybe I might want to
I think you're
remain.
wasting the time on my life. So you can choose to continue to move forward
Oh, sure.
and
Well, if
give
you're
me
gonna
the internal criticism quickly, or I'm going to kick you and go on to the next person because I think you're purposefully wasting my time at this point.
Yeah, the internal critique. We can move. We can. So I'll just ask one more question, and if you don't think it's relevant, that's fine. We can move forward. Yeah. So if you want to say something like instincts have no character, and where I was going with the animals is how it would relate to why they don't like, murder people is it relate to like their best interest for food. Because I'm agnostic to the point of where they think is wrong, or like maybe not to the point of where it's wrong, but me not do it because me get yelled at. And if you don't think that's relevant, then we can move forward. But
Are you saying the intent in animals doesn't require a necessary component of moral character?
no, this is based on instinct. I think animals.
Okay, then you're an idiot because that's the only way that you could have reasonably responded to what I just said.
Okay,
And in
we
that
can move
sense,
forward.
yeah, that's a
If
sense that intent could exist outside of depending upon moral character.
we can move forward then because you don't understand. That's fine.
Okay. Well, it's okay. I gave
Yeah, I
you
would
the
say you don't
argument.
want. I
I
would say
literally
would say
gave him the argument on a silver platter. You didn't even
well,
realize.
first off, you didn't give an argument. First off, you made a claim. You never gave an argument. First off,
Okay, all right, I'm gonna go
you never
talk to
gave a
someone else.
single.
I just think you're not smart. I think you're purposely wasting my time, and you're not smart. So let's go to the next person.